After 2 long weeks, and I gotta say, they felt really long, Don Brothers and Kamen Rider Geats is finally back. And I gotta say, after the last cliffhanger we had with Geats where we found out that the game is actually a reality show, that twisted the show on its head and had everyone talking in the fandom about that plot twist. And the show continues on with Kamen Rider Geats episode 17. And it's a brand new season, brand new game, and the show is just getting crazier and crazier. I even had to write down notes so I could keep up with all this new information we were getting in the episode. So, let's take it from the top and review Kamen Rider Geats episode 7. So the episode opens up and it basically embraces the whole reality show aspect as we learned a couple of weeks ago in episode 16. As the characters get introed in, they're introduced to our audience, which was a great thing to see because it's been 2 weeks since a brand new episode, so it's a quick reminder of who these characters are. But not only that, we're introduced to 2 brand new characters, and that is Sparrow and Lopo. And I gotta say, I really enjoy these new characters. I don't think they're gonna get jobbed out just yet, so that's good to know. But I gotta say, Lopo is probably one of my favorite because although she's a wolf, I thought she was a rabbit, but apparently not. She's really freaking cool. I really enjoy it. But not only that, Sparrow's really cool as well, with how calculating he can be as well. But we're introduced to brand new characters, and it seems like that Lopo seems to have some kind of history with Geats. They don't explain it, but when she's summoned to the game, she seems to know him, but they don't explain on it any further, so hopefully in the next couple of episodes we learn about that. So hopefully that gets explained later down the line throughout the show. Hopefully we find out before she's eliminated because I want to find out what their history is. Now, one interesting note is with the show, we've got the same intro song, but some of the visuals are changed up. We get the usual, you see the brand new riders in the opening, they do their cool pose. Something I noticed on Twitter is one of the cards you see that it quickly flash cuts to, is it says, "Who is the backstabber?" written in English. So it's sort of setting up what we're learning about in this current story arc right now, where someone is the disaster and it's meant to be someone who is griefing the other players, trying to get in their way. But you also see Buffa in this episode because last episode we found out the revelation that he's alive, but in this episode he's sort of like blurred out, he's digitized out, he's sort of like very pixelated, and he's sort of you see him close up and then you see him on like a wide shot in the background and he's surrounded by all these black vines. So there's a lot of speculation with Buffa turning evil later down the line. He's going to be an evil rider. I think I've heard rumblings or rumors or leaks, I can't keep up with it. I think there's going to be like a red variant of Buffa, or Buffa's going to get a brand new suit or an upgrade, something like that later down the line. But either way, Buffa's back, and we'll get to Buffa in a bit because he does meet the gardener, and the gardener and Buffa do have some interactions and back and forth in the middle of the episode, and then at the end of the episode, which is something I want to talk about. But Buffa tries to get some answers out of the gardener, and he says, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And the gardener just says, "I'm basically going to offer you something that can help you crush the other riders." So like I mentioned earlier, Buffa could be turning heel and becoming a villain. You never know with this show, but either way, it's cool to see Buffa alive and this interesting path that he's going to walk down in the show. So the whole theme for this game is sort of the high school setting where they've got to defeat the delinquent Jamatos, and I gotta say their outfits are really wacky and really silly. I love it when they did it in Zenkaiger as well, where they have like the pompadours and stuff like that, and they got this sort of button-up shirts open and they're really loud and rowdy. I love seeing it with the Jamato here because they just put a bunch of afro wigs on the Jamato, and they just had that sort of Yusuke Urameshi look on them, where they had like basically the button shirt open and stuff like that. That got a kick out of me. But in the episode, like I mentioned earlier, we find out that there's disasters, and we learn this from the new Game Master, who's kind of a wacky and silly, goofy character, but the disasters are meant to sort of grief the other players, and if they get away with it, I believe it's hinted at that they get some kind of reward, but they've got to find out who the disaster is, and there's only 5 players in this game, and the whole reason why there's only 5 players is to sort of irk their trust on who could the, basically the disaster or the griefer could be. So, sort of we can see that in the next episode preview, where they're sort of thinking who could the disaster be, and it looks like they might accuse Keiwa of being one, and a lot of people are speculating it could be Geats. There's a comedic moment where they think that it was frickin' Lopo and Sparrow. That was pretty funny as well. But another bit of interesting information we find out is Keiwa asks Surumi, yeah, that's her name, Surumi, if this is broadcasted, where is it going to? Because it's not on the internet, it's not on TV. And before she can give her answer, Surumi can give her answer, she's sort of cut off, because we get this comedic gag where they sort of have to sleep in sort of like the lounge room, and they've set up base there. So because he stepped over the line, Lopo kicked his ass and sort of tossed him off across the chair. Really funny moment. Got a kick out of me. But again, it was a funny moment that sort of sort of interrupted a key bit of information we're about to learn. So I'm guessing whoever sees the game that we all see is probably someone like with money and power, like rich people in Japan and across the world. I'm guessing they're the ones who watch it. Like, it could be like another twist, and it's like the multiverses of writers who are watching it. You never know. But while this is going on, you've got Geats sort of exploring the area, and he runs into Jean, someone who we saw at the end of last week's episode. 2 weeks ago, episode 16, we saw Jean at. But Jean reveals that he's the one that gave the jet buckle to Geats, and he also says that he's a big fan of him, and he can't wait to see what Geats is gonna do next, and he hopes that Geats finds his motivation to find out why he exists. And that's a really interesting aspect of Jean, because he's rooting for Geats like he's an audience member of the show, which he is, but the way he's sort of rooting for him is like how we root for characters when we watch TV shows, and why we want to find out their motivations and their sort of drive to keep going. He's watching Geats for the same reason. He wants to find out Geats' motivation and drive to find out why he exists and stuff like that. So that's a really interesting note about Jean, where he's sort of a Geats fanboy, and he's rooting for the character in that particular way, which kind of mimics, like I mentioned earlier, how we watch TV shows, like how we watch Riders or other different TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So that's a really good comparison that I picked up. Now, we also find out what our players' wishes are. Keiwa's is still the same. He wants to revive all the players that have lost their lives. Neon wants to be famous or find true love, whatever it is. Sparrow's is to have unlimited knowledge, or to know all the knowledge in humanity, because knowledge is power. And Lopo wants to be a top athlete, so her goal is kind of like, I want to be fit all the time, I want to be in top shape. And Geats' wish, Ace's wish, is really interesting, because Ace, last time, he wanted to be a staff of the game, a staff member, so he can find answers about his mother. This time, he's bumped up the wish, and he wants to become a game master. And the managers who we've seen glimpses of, they're like, hey, why is he doing this? He shouldn't be doing this. Like, he's getting out of control. He's getting very nosy with his wishes. Like, the whole reason why Giori, Glare wanted Geats eliminated, because Geats was sort of getting too nosy with his wishes, and he'd probably uncover something they didn't want to find out. And the male manager, he's like, let Geats do whatever he wants to do. He'll slip up, and eventually we'll find out why he claims that Mitsumi is his mother. So once again, Mitsumi is some kind of key in the episode. So after that, we get the second round of the game, where they've got to find the principal in the school, and I gotta say, there's some really cool action scenes in this episode, like when Lopo just charges ahead. You see her leaping over all the furniture, and you see her sliding around. That was really cool. I really like seeing that wolf outfit in the zombie outfit. I think it looks really well. works really well with it. But also we sort of see the secret mission where they've got to assault the non-delinquent Jamato. That was the secret mission, and that got a laugh out of me because like you have Neon saying, "Oh, I feel sorry for him." But this episode we also got to see the what was it called? I've got it up on my notes. The builder buckle or the powered builder buckle that was in the Battle Royale movie, the Geats movie that came out during the holidays, like I guess after the last episode aired. I haven't seen it yet because it's going to take a while for it to come out subbed, but that's a cool little like synergy promotion to have that movie exclusive buckle appear in the show, and it looks like it's not going to be movie exclusive anymore. It's going to play a role in it. But I do like how Geats, when he picks it up, he's like, "Oh, I fancy seeing that here." So it must show that this episode takes place probably after that movie. So that's an interesting note here. But after they complete the game, we get a scoreboard, but it's basically a rating from the audience, and Geats isn't the top rated audience, but Keiwa has only got 1%. So it's basically the audience voting on who they like on the show. And Keiwa does say, "Hey, Geats was really great, why didn't he get the top score?" And Samori explains, basically saying, "Hey, it's not based on performance, it's how they worked as a player. Lopo was the one to sort of rush and find the principal. She ran in there. Sparrow was the one who sort of found out the secret mission. So it's not being the best, it's sort of using your best talents to figure out how to play the game." So after that, that's where the sort of the game ends, the intermission. That's going to lead into next week's episode. But after that, we then cut to the garden once again, and Buffa is talking to the gardener, and we find out that one of his new Jamato has hatched. And this is the big cliffhanger on the episode, the big reveal. And the big reveal is that, like everyone has been speculating, it is deceased riders from the game being reincarnated as Jamato. But this one is kind of a big deal because a lot of people got upset when they got jobbed out in the very first episode. And that is the panda guy from episode 1, the guy who plays Kyori Blue, Dino Charge, Japanese Dino Charge Blue, I'll just call him that. But the panda guy, Shirio, I believe, Shiro? I'm probably butchering several names and people are screaming at me in the comment section, but he's one of the Jamato, which is really interesting. That's really cool to see that this character came back, because a lot of people thought he was one and done in the episode, but it's cool to see him come back in another role for the show. But that's pretty much where the episode ends. So, Kamen Rider Geats is back. I freaking love this episode. I love where the show is going. I'm still loving watching it weekly, waiting for the subs to drop, and then I watch it as soon as possible. But what did you guys think of Kamen Rider Geats episode 17? Love it? Hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.